the meat.
Welcome back from the break. This is Mostly Superheroes, here with Scotty Scoop and the Giggler. I'm your host, Logan. Here in the studio, St. Louis, Missouri, talking about superhero stuff. Today, it's all about a Sony movie called Morbius. A lot of stuff happening out here in the Marvel film area, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The MCU has exploded. There are Spider-Man films, all sorts of things coming out on Disney+. And then on Sony's side, you got Venom, Morbius, all these Spider-Man characters that they're doing stuff with and trying to make it connect. We're going to talk about it all. Spoiler alert for that film. Let's get into it right now. Talk about the movie and give you a little bit of the news in terms of the numbers, who made it, and all that good stuff. The movie came out on April 1st, 2022, just a few days ago from now. Daniel Espinosa is our director. $75 million budget. Music by John Estran Production Companies, Columbia Pictures, Marvel Entertainment, Arad Productions, Matt Tolmach Productions, and of course, Sony. This is from Google, by the way. Distributed by Columbia Pictures and Sony Pictures Releasing. Starring Jared Leto, featuring Michael Keaton, Matt Smith, Adria Arjona, Jared Harris, and Tyrese Gibbs. Right? Gibson? Yep. Sorry, I'm looking through your mic. I'm reading that screen. I'm like, oh, Gibbs? Oh, Gibson. And a lot of other folks. How'd it do at the box office? I love this headline from Gizmodo. Morbius opening weekend sucks $84 million from the box office, thanks to Rob Bricken over there. Not too shabby. You know, back in the day when we call these pandemic box offices, I feel like trying to think of some opening weekend numbers off the top of my head, but I feel like 85 million isn't really too bad.
That's not bad at all, considering a $75 million budget.
Exactly. Like right away, you're on top. And then what is the world saying about it? Right now on Rotten Tomatoes, this is as of today, April 5th, 16% on Rotten Tomatoes, 5.2 on IMDb. But hey, how about this? A 3.8 out of 5. That's 72% of Google users like this movie. Let's do some gut checks roundtable before we get into the story and decide how we feel about it. We're going to give you our review, our rating. We always talk about the story and then decide how we feel. Let's talk about how we felt going into the movie. Andy, you saw this. Tell us about your experience. Who was Morbius to you before, this trailer came out, and then who were you going in to see the film?
Oh, yeah. Going into this, I didn't really know a lot about Morbius other than the Spider-Man cartoon, which doesn't say a lot. That was kind of a weird character. And obviously, we're not going to see Spider-Man in this movie. But going into it, definitely saw all the terrible reviews. But I'm a person that I'm easy to please. I like just about everything. But this one definitely I didn't love it. But it had some things to like, things to dislike. I mean, it's a Sony movie. Kind of on par with the other ones to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, who knows where this will go from here. But
just FYI, Spider-Man No Way Home is a Sony movie.
Yeah, okay. I kind of forget that. You're
Sony
right.
movie,
but
Marvel
and
did the heavy lifting.
And it was the rights and how they signed over the Tom Holland agreement and all that. I know what you mean. You're talking about Venom, both Venom movies. This kind of felt probably similar to that.
Yeah.
Scotty, Morbius to you as a comic book fan and going to see this movie?
I've known Morbius for a long time in the comic books. My expectations for this were so low, especially after seeing the Venom movies, which I was not a huge fan of.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a good time watching this movie. I went with my 12-year-old daughter, Lyla. She had a great time. I was fine with it.
You were fine with it?
Yeah. It was not a good movie.
Yeah.
But I had a good time watching it.
Man, that's really good. I love to have the variety. And then, of course, where do you think I'm going to be? Probably right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, for sure. Like, same as you. Like, going in, same as both of you. I love that about us. You got to go in level-headed.
Yeah.
You got to go in, especially whenever there are reviews coming out.
Well, and
you got to go, like, listen, I'm going to check this at the door. Because, like, who the hell knows what the Rotten Tomato score means? You just got to go in, sit down, and be like, I'm going to see what this movie's about.
And with the fact that it was supposed to come out, 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean...
And the reshoots.
Original date, I don't forget the original date, but it was, late 2019.
Yeah.
And it is 2022.
Yeah.
Insane.
Insane.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see how we feel about it. I feel the same way as you guys. I went in level-headed. I had an okay time. I think this thing had some problems, but we'll get into that part. What I want to do right now, because this is one of those movies where I could not wait to talk about the story.
Yeah.
Because it's all over the place. There's a lot of things to put together. We're going to answer some stuff for you, the fans, today. We have a lot of fans to highlight, including voicemails, a couple letters, some people from our Mostly Superhero squad. We cannot wait to share the reviews, but spoiler alert for the film. Let's get into it right now. Biochemist Michael Morbius gave you that spoiler alert. Tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but when his experiment goes wrong, he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism.
Vampirism.
What is that?
I've never heard
These,
that.
these Google, this is right from Google. Vampirism instead. Instead, he turns himself kind of into a vampire. First time meeting this character, let's just drop in. Jared Leto is Michael Morbius. This is a movie that's going to pop all over the place. Lots of flashbacks, lots of future. For the sake of storytelling, we'll keep it pretty straightforward. This guy was an orphan, and he's into bats. It's not who you think. I couldn't help it. I was like, we talked about the Batman. Now we're talking about a guy that's into bats. But this guy is looking for bats for a particular reason. He's got a horrible blood disease. He needs to cure it. And he's the guy that can do it. He's apparently like one of the brightest minds of all time, discovered late as a kid, early as a kid, in the orphanage / like treatment center, and is basically a prodigy. He goes on to, like, basically the next time you see him when they flash forward to an adult, Michael Morbius is being given the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
Because of his work in blood transfusion. What has he done? He has developed artificial blood for people with really poor blood disease. So they basically do like a form of, what's it called when you have kidney problems? Dialysis. It's kind of like a dialysis where they're switching out your blood. He's made like fake blood so like people can like feel better. Were you guys familiar with like his disease? Is that a disease that's like, in real life?
I don't know that they ever gave it a specific name.
Like,
Yeah, that's what I was confused.
Exactly. It was just like he just had this crippling disease, which was like almost like a form of like MS, you know, like weakness and fatigue.
Yeah, and from what I could tell, I guess they specifically mentioned the anticoagulants in the vampire bat's blood or saliva.
Yes.
That they were looking for. So I guess his blood just coagulates.
Yes.
And he needed a way to stop that.
Yeah, which coagulate is like it comes together.
It congeals.
Okay. All right.
You know, like a blood clots.
Big words today.
Yeah.
Big words. There's a lot of science in
Dr.
this.
Scoop.
And who else is also in this world but his very good friend that he calls Milo, which is not his real name. Milo is just the name he gives to every new orphan that comes in the orphanage.
It's like, I see so many of you guys, you're just Milo number 4 to me.
Which I thought was like really a dick move.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's who he was.
And what's his actual name in the movie?
Lucius.
Lucius?
Lucian.
I was going to say, yeah, there was an S in there. I was going to say ludicrous. And he's got the same disease.
Yeah.
So, like, they're best friends as young kids. I'm going to look after you. Michael Morbius tells him, I'm leaving this place to go off and find this cure.
But he almost dies. Kid. And he saves him with a pen spring.
Yeah, the kid's machine, like, malfunctions. Like, picture a dialysis machine, but, like, a different version. It's swapping out blood. The pump goes down. Michael Morbius...
he just keels over, like, right there.
Oh, he goes down. Michael Morbius, young kid, peels off the side of the machine. Quick, the spring of my...
Like it was a battery operated machine. Like I don't know if like the AA's died or what.
And what was his name? The doctor, like kind of their mentor. Jared Harris plays.
It just says Morbius's mentor.
Nicholas.
He's like, scientists made this machine,
and you fixed it.
And
then he mentions a school for gifted children in New York.
He did?
Yes.
Is that supposed to be the X-Men?
Well, they don't have the X-Men, so
right.
I think they were just seeing what they could get away with, maybe.
What? Right. Yeah, they're like, let's plant seeds for things that are definitely not happening.
Okay, maybe we'll get the X-Men back in like X amount of years.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to talk about all the stuff Sony pulled in this thing.
Maybe Marvel just let us have one or two.
Right.
So what's it? Lucian. I'm thinking of that one. I'm thinking of Lucius Fox. That's another Batman person.
Yeah. I think Milo will work.
Yeah, he goes by Milo pretty much the rest of the time.
The rest of the movie.
Well, Milo has this letter from Morbius that's like, I'm going to help you, whatever. It floats out the window. The kid goes on a little journey down the alley, gets beat up by some random people that are into beating up cripples.
Some jerk kids. They're like, yeah, who does this?
I mean, I always say that in these movies whenever there's like harsh bullies, but I'm just like, I feel like that means I'm like, I've had a good life.
Yeah.
Because either that or I'm the bully.
Right.
Maybe I was the bully.
Yeah.
And if I was, like,
he beats us, guys.
I never beat up any cripples. I'll tell you that. But you see a little bit of a dark side to him, just a hair, but but not much. All right, this movie opens with really the future Michael Morbius as an adult at the Batcave in Brazil.
Yeah.
And this is kind of where they drop you in.
Yeah.
Like, okay, he's here. He's got to have these bats. It's a dramatic scene where he is like, they're all flying past him. What'd he do with them? He took them back home to his lab, put them in a cage, and he explains everything to his right-hand person, his gal in this one, played by Adria Arjona. She played Martine.
Yeah, Martine.
And this is his gal. Like, also a scientist, also very brilliant, and is helping him basically try to solve his blood disease with these bats to help like the coagulation be better, right? Well, he does it. He figures out a part of the process that's going to work, but before he can do it, this is very illegal.
Yeah.
So because it's so illegal, I have to go do this on a boat.
Yeah, international waters.
International waters, gets on a boat.
Funded by Milo. He's the bankroller in this situation. Out of nowhere, I guess, super rich.
Mega rich.
Billionaire.
He's like, have I ever not helped you?
Right.
Like, I'll help you out. So he pays the whole thing.
So you need some mercenaries and a shipping container boat?
No big deal.
Yeah, I got you.
And so on this boat, he's made his coagulation bat juice. And he's like, put me in this chair, strap me down, and put it in my spine. She's like, okay, puts it in, walks away. One of the guys eating lunch, one of the mercenaries, is like, I'm going to go down and check.
We're going to stop the poker game. I'm just going to go for a walk. And he just comes down just to be a jerk.
He's like, where is he?
Yeah.
Why are you down here?
Right.
And what has happened, but they have to go back into the room where they originally had him strapped down to the table.
They look through the big window.
He's not there. Got to open it up. Where is he? He's on the ceiling.
Yep. That's where bats go, right?
Well, I mean, I go into this knowing, like, I don't know what he's going to turn into. But, like, there he is. He's a bat. He's upside down. Yeah. He's got the face from the trailer. This is where I didn't even tell the listeners the story. But essentially, I had a Fandango ticket that was wrong. The time of my movie was wrong. Ended up going to a theater, literally, like, halfway into this movie playing. Fandango, or the local theater, Marcus Theaters, took care of us, gave us free tickets. This was the part, though, we walked in on.
Oh, nice.
Like, we're sitting there. And he's up on the ceiling, like, looking back. This is the first thing I see. And I look at Carrie, I go, this is definitely the middle of the movie.
We missed something.
We have missed a vital part. So anyway, we ended up getting into the right theater, free tickets. It all worked out. Anyway, he's there. He's upside down. I mean, killing spree.
Yeah.
Kills the guy.
Slashing people open.
Biting
throats.
Fast-moving dust.
Oh, yeah.
Like
phantom.
Like he's poofing. He's poofing.
Yeah.
Putin?
Yeah. Not that kind of podcast, Andy.
Oh, sorry.
We'll get into politics in the double meet.
I meant Putin, like
mostly
Putin,
politics. Look
like
for the spin-off.
tooting, not Putin. Then it just kind of came up.
Putin, like farting. No, this guy's swooshing. He's dusting. He's swiping, and he even like knocks his girl down at one point. She hits her head. She's unconscious. Everyone's dead on the boat.
Yep.
And he
drained of their blood.
And and he comes to, and he's like himself again, but he sees the footage and he's like, my God.
Not only that, but before he had the arm crutches, real feeble, and now it's shirt off, full on.
It looks like he just got out of the Captain America machine,
right?
That like turned Chris Evans into that super soldier.
Yeah, because you could tell they like CGI'd him to be like frail. Yes. And skinny and pale.
And now he's just
like,
lumptuous.
Yeah.
or maybe he did that himself. I mean, I know for
a method actor.
Dallas Buyers Club movie,
I feel like Jared Leto is the type that would pull some stuff.
Well, I read today that he did go full method acting for this.
Yeah.
And wouldn't go to the bathroom without his crutches. And they had to talk him into letting the assistants push him in a wheelchair to the bathroom.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Guys,
Insane.
Jared.
What is this person
Yeah.
doing?
Jared, come on. So what's he do? He jumps off the boat. He's like, I'm taking off.
He calls for the Coast Guard.
Calls the Coast Guard like there's been
there's
some kind of massive attack.
yeah,
And
pieces out.
for whatever reason, he gets back. The only people that like get on the trail of this thing are the New York Police Department.
Yeah. I found it strange. He just like goes back to his office, turns up the opaqueness on his windows.
Yeah.
And
He's like back at his-
just like doing more experiments and
Got my bats. I'm just gonna
playing
keep...
with his bats and his tube.
He ends up going to visit. I mean,
Well, he does some experiments on himself. He tests. He
this
needs
is where
blood.
we get the what
we
are
get
my
like
powers?
we get like a montage of powers. He's testing how long the synthetic blood
Yeah.
will last for
There
him.
we go.
You know, he's drinking it straight out of the tube like little Capri Suns.
And thank goodness he's got this synthetic blood. He figures out it's like, it's
6
gonna,
hours.
6
Only
hours.
lasts 6 hours.
I mean, how'd you know?
Right. But he like turns his little watch on the timer.
Oh, you mean the same footage? I think every time.
Yeah.
was
And it's
fun.
like
Oh, man.
6 hours, and he counts down.
And he's like, maybe if
And
I
he's like,
focus.
"Oh, now I'm hungry again." Yep, 6 hours.
I've cursed myself.
Yeah.
I'm eating too much blood, and it's getting like more frequent. I'm also have some kind of bat sonar.
Yeah,
His inside of his ear turns into like to the
Oh,
bottom of a
Little-
mushroom.
Yeah, it turns into like fins.
Yeah, it's like literally
Like
like a portobello
gills.
mushroom, like
Yeah.
those lines inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that.
There's the scene where he like goes into the little bat cave thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bat
And, like, he
tube,
talks
and he's
about
like, "They're
How
my
he's
friends."
like one with them, like
Yeah.
they understand him, etc. And
Puts
like,
his hand up.
but
Yeah.
also the music in the background is like the exact sounding music as from Batman Begins,
Yeah,
when there's also a scene where Bruce is in a cave with bats. It sounds the exact same.
it's just playing like this.
It-
They played on the score.
Yes, it's so weird.
They just took it. I
think
mean, he's just
so.
standing in the middle of bats.
Right.
They're
But,
like,
it-
"What?"
but he's a vampire now, I
Right.
guess.
They really played that up.
So what's he do? Right? He's like, all right, this blood, I'm eating it too fast, and I'm eating it
Well,
so.
Which I'm
like,
it's
you know
becoming
what?
less and less effective.
And you know what?
As
Though?
he
I
takes
was like,
the
every 6
synthetic
hours,
blood.
that's like regular meal time.
Right.
This is like regular. Just make some smoothies.
Right.
And he's like, you know what? Even though I'm sitting there going like, you make this blood in a lab, like you could last a long time. I
Right.
feel like,
It's like, okay, so you keep taking it until it only lasts an hour.
yeah, not 6.
Right.
Like,
But I think they made it progressively shorter in
Yeah.
a very short amount of time.
Yeah,
Like it
'cause-
was 6 hours and then 6 hours and then like five
Well-
and a half
well,
hours.
you know what he said?
And then like
4
5
down from
hours.
6.
Yeah.
4 down from 6. He
Right.
said that like multiple times. Well, while he's waiting, what's he decide to do? He's like, I'll lock myself away. Let's see how long I can actually go. And like, let's see what happens when I do go without.
Right.
Who shows up? Milo. And Milo's like, you look amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's dying in the tube
Yeah, and he gets him the
in the
blood.
thing, and he writes the blood on the thing, and he's like,
Yeah.
"You need some blood? I'll get you some blood."
Couldn't even say blood
Right.
and to write it. Had more energy
And-
to write.
Milo goes back into the freezer and grabs him some blue blood.
Here you go.
And comes back. What happened?
Well, this is a mistake. It's a curse.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, well, better than dead.
Yeah.
And
Like,
I'll
I'll
be dead
take
very
your curse.
soon. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And Morbius is like, get out of here. No, absolutely not. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to solve this. Milo leaves.
Yeah.
It's time now for him to create a killing antidote.
Right.
And so he makes a serum.
No, I don't think he does that till later in the movie.
What's he doing next? I mean, he ends up in prison at some point.
He's well, they show up, the
the cops.
show up
Tyrese.
as he's trying to leave,
Got Tyrese and the other guy.
and they're like, "Yeah, you're looking Al Madrigal, what is his name? Agent Rodriguez."
yes.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, listen, we know about this boat.
This boat,
All these people were dead. Their blood was drained. You
You're-
going out for another run?
you're looking pretty good
Yeah.
for a guy with a deadly blood disease.
And this is like at his clinic.
And
What
he's-
happens? One of his nurses that like worked for him for a long time ends up being killed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drain dry. And he's like, "I don't remember doing that."
And he's like, and like once again, I guess I blacked out.
Right.
I guess I'm blacked out when he's Morbius. I guess. Like, he doesn't remember the first attack at all.
Mhm.
And he's looking at it as if it's like, that's another person.
Right.
Here we go. It's happened again. I guess I killed my nurse. The cops are like, they get it on their comms, right? They're like, hey, there's a nurse dead up here. They're like, all right, hey, come with us.
Yeah.
And he's like, I ain't going with anybody. And he goes on the run.
Yeah.
Runs, makes it to the roof. Somehow doesn't get away from Tyrese.
Yeah. I said the same thing. My 12-year-old daughter said the same thing. How did Tyrese get up there so quickly?
Like, you're Morbius.
Because he literally
he flew
up the stairwell.
He flew up like 40, 50 stories.
Yeah.
Catches him.
A lot of questions.
And now we're going to put you in jail.
Yeah.
And they put him in jail, and Tyrese and this other cop, they question him. And he's like, I can't tell you anything. And they're like, we're just not buying this.
Physically, there's something wrong with him.
He's turning
Like
into
he's turning,
Morbius.
his face is like morphing.
And they're like, this is crazy. Just put him back in his cell.
Yeah.
He's in his cell. And
he said you won't like me when I'm hungry.
Yeah, you won't like me. I'm getting hungry.
Try to get there.
That bag that I left on the roof, you need to get it to me.
And lots of vampire jokes just trickled in. All right, so he's in the prison. Milo comes to visit.
His lawyer comes in.
His lawyer. They're sitting there talking, and Milo's like, what's going on? And he's like, the nurse is dead. And he's like, I don't know what. He's like, he acts like he doesn't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know a lot by now.
Right.
Like, you know everything about your powers. You had them for a while. Like, you know what's going on. And the guy's like, well, listen, here's a little blood to hold you over. I'll see you later. We'll figure this out.
Yeah.
And he walks out. And what's he do?
Leaves his cane. Left his cane.
Oh.
And he was like,
and Morbius grabs.
I just got bamboozled.
He's like, "Oh no, Milo,
yeah.
Milo!" And he like, I was like, "Oh, he's
after he sucks down the blood."
Yeah, he sucks down the blood, and I'm like, I guess he's gonna break this cane for sure. But he
nope.
just throws it down.
You can't do this.
Yeah. Just like it wobbles on the ground, like definitely doesn't break. I'm like, no. And he just Morbiuses himself out of there and just breaks out of prison
through the little tiny window.
Morbius is himself. We could say what that is already.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Well, I don't know what you vamps out.
Yeah, it shows the Hunger is the character Matt Smith's name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from the comic books is what they called him.
The Hunger. I mean, he's walking down the street,
and he's like, he's having a good time.
Give me one of those Daily Bugles.
Yep.
Not the chips.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a direct Spider-Man reference. Yep. Daily Bugle. Morbius wanted for murder.
The headlines?
Yeah.
Huh?
Did you catch the headline Easter eggs?
Black Cat.
Ooh, really? What else? They're like Professor X runs for president.
Talks about a rhino that escaped from the zoo, and that also said there was no superhero sightings for 90 days or something like that. So
that's cool.
That might be like this could be 90 days after the Spider-Man thing. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
And I remember the cops. I remember the cops making a comment about this is weirder than that thing that happened in San Francisco.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like, what was that?
Venom.
Venom, right?
Yeah.
Oh, of course, duh.
Actually, what I said wouldn't make sense. I don't know. Yeah, doesn't anything make sense?
Well, we'll get there.
We'll break it down.
We will. Okay, and then he gets the Daily Bugle, and the guy selling the papers is like, "You believe this?" And the guy's like, "You never know about a person." Milo's like, "You never know about a person. You probably think I'm just a regular guy."
Yeah, regular dude.
And just turns into a vampire and just eats this guy.
Yep.
Like full control immediately, and really loves it.
Yeah.
Like
he's gone completely 100% bloodlust.
But was he like always evil? Because they showed us him in that fight when he was a kid.
Well, I think that he probably, but I think, what they tried to make clear was regular blood brings out the worst.
Yeah.
In these
Once
guys.
you taste human blood,
right,
you're on a warpath.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now it's very much like Morbius is gonna, I gotta stop this guy. What's he do? He meets up with this gal, and they sit down at a diner or a restaurant.
Yeah.
And what's he do? He tells her again. This is like the third time for us. Like everything about what he's dealing with. And he's like, I got 6 hours.
Yeah.
4 down from 6.
Yep. I gotta eat again. the blue stuff, it's not really working.
She has like coffee and he like reaches for it, like I guess in the sun.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, and she was like, I was just testing you.
He's like, not
oh,
that
that's not that kind of vampire.
One of the cops had holy water.
Holy water, yeah.
And he's sitting there and he's like, oh, my super hearing's kicking in from people that are 5 feet from me.
Right. Like the lady's like, I can hear what they're saying too.
I can also hear what they're saying.
They're right there.
What's happening? These two guys try to pay with these hundreds.
Fake
and
hundreds.
They're fake hundreds. And he's like, we got to get back to the lab.
To the lab.
And he thinks this must be a real deal lab.
Yeah.
Because they're making
free lab.
And and they're making fake money. So it's legit.
Right. I can make blood stuff out of money machines.
And he tells her, he's like, I'm going to go get this done. I'll call you when I have it. He goes to this lab. These punks are just like having a good time.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm taking your lab. And the guy's like, oh, you're going to take my lab. And he's like, and he turns into a vampire, kind of messes them all up.
Yeah.
And gets one of the dudes at the end. He's like, who are you? And this is where we get
I am Venom.
Just a little on the nose, right out of the trailer.
Yeah. Straight from the trailer. The only thing straight from the trailer.
A lot of things in the trailer that never
happened.
We'll do it at the end. we're going to do all this. All right. Back to the lab. Thank God he got there for his lab where he made another thing that can spin.
Yeah, a centrifuge.
I was like, oh, so you needed a weed eater?
Yeah. You needed literally anything with a small motor.
Anything that could spin.
Yeah.
And so he makes his stuff.
Pretty much it.
2 serums that will kill a vampire.
Yeah.
One for me, one for Milo.
One for Milo.
And this is where you get like a long time. Like they're hanging out at this lab. They're having the back and forth.
You get some stuff with Milo,
Oh man, we get the crazy scene with Milo and the doctor,
and
the mentor,
doctor, yeah.
who's been taking care of him like the whole time, apparently, like
I
into
mean,
adulthood.
He had to be 40
He looked the same
in the movie,
Yeah.
and the doctor looked exactly the same. They didn't try at all.
It's been
to make him look
25
different.
years.
Yeah.
Like he looked the same.
Yeah.
And this guy is like, this is a crazy scene. These two like having it. Like he's like, you can't be going bad. He's like, I'm gonna do what I want, and he kills him.
Yeah.
Kills him immediately. He's not done.
No.
He decides, I'll go kill Morbius's girlfriend too.
Yeah.
And he does.
Right.
But barely.
Yeah. But yeah. Yes and no. Injures her.
He injures her.
And Morbius hears her from who knows how far away.
Well, because the
other side of the city.
He bat sonared the whole city.
Yeah.
Just like Dark Knight Rises.
Of course.
Yeah. Good point.
And
Thanks, Lucius.
thanks, Lucian.
Lucian.
And you know why he knows how to do that? It's because he taught himself how whenever he was like, focus.
I'm going to focus and I'm going to throw this ball and I'm going to catch it. And I'm not going to look.
And it's like, it's got the dust around it. So you
Yeah.
know.
It's got the sound dust.
And he'd sound dust the whole city, finds his gal. She's laying there. We're skipping through like 30 or 40 minutes of the movie, but like that is
You're
how
not
long
missing anything.
You're not missing anything.
No.
You're it's like dialogue.
Couple of
between them.
scenes. Matt Smith goes to the bar, hits on a girl, and this
Yeah.
guy's like, is a jerk and like spills his drink.
And then like tries to fight him, and he's like, not
Nah,
tonight.
Yep. Leaves, waits till they leave, and then he just eats them.
And then I'm like, okay.
Gets caught on camera.
Like, who cares
Right.
about that? Like, just some random bar people.
Right.
So Morbius finds his gal. She's on the roof of the building. She's dying. And he's holding her. And she says, make it count for something. Carrie knew immediately. She was like, she just rolled her eyes. And I'm not like a diehard vampire. I was like, oh, eat me.
Yeah.
She meant like, eat me.
Yep.
And
use my blood.
And and before that happens, she like bites his lip.
Bites his lip.
Purposely or not? That was
Oh.
what I
Well,
couldn't
yeah.
tell.
And was it her?
On purpose,
Was like,
I think.
Like, she's like, I'm going to try this.
Like, because they're trying all the vampire tropes,
Yes.
with the holy water and the light.
Yes.
And yeah, she bites his lip. The drop of blood falls in her mouth.
She like swallows it.
And then he feeds on her.
And then, okay, she's dead.
Dead.
All right. Then he leaves. And it's time for the big battle.
Yep.
Get ready for just a dust fest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're
Milo versus Morbius.
Yep.
This guy's name is Milo. He's in a suit. And he's in the suit for the whole battle.
Yeah.
In the sewers, like all around the city, carrying each other. I mean, I guess when Morbius kind of learned to fly in front of the train, that may have been the coolest part. And even that was like, it was not that cool.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. But they're flying, they're fighting, and Morbius is like kind of having trouble beating him there in the end.
Oh yeah. Well, because he's obviously Milo is all hopped up on the good stuff.
Yeah, he's got the real blood.
Yeah, he's been feeding for days and days, anybody and everybody.
But Morbius is like, I got one more trick up my sleeve that I haven't really shown anybody yet.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw all these bats at you.
Yep. For some reason, the bats love him,
and
not the other guy with the exact same powers.
Yeah, that has the same blood thing in him. Like, you'd think they'd be
Right.
like, no, we won't hurt him.
It's like, oh no, I made my bond with bats directly.
I was just waiting on Commissioner Gordon to show up and be like, who is that? And Morbius is like, back up.
But maybe because it was made with Morbius's blood, the bats preferred him over Milo, maybe?
I don't know.
That's because I'm assuming he
unexplained.
When did he steal the again, this is just more questions. Like, when did Milo actually steal? Like, was it when he
came to the
okay?
Yeah, but presumed, right? Like, definitely not really shown.
Not shown, but I knew for sure.
Like, I went to the bathroom during this part where the nurse died.
Okay,
and I came back and Carrie was like, "Yeah, Morbius killed this nurse." Like, she was watching.
Oh, okay.
But what did you guys see? Did you see like any hints of
no?
like?
There was no hints. And the scene before where Milo showed up to the lab where Morbius was almost dead, like there was a scene where he kind of, bumped into the table on his way.
Okay.
And
so that was it.
Me and my daughter were both like, he just lifted a serum.
Of course.
For sure.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Because I was like,
because it did sneak up, right?
Yeah.
Well, he gets the bats to like hold him down.
Yeah.
And he's able to get close enough and he jabs
hits him right in the heart.
Kills him.
Yep.
It flashes over to his gal. Her eyes open.
Yeah.
She's like red eye vampire.
Yep.
Tyrese and the other cop are outside of a hole. Bats.
Yep.
Morbius.
Here they come. Yeah.
Credits.
Done. Like 20 seconds of credits.
I mean, the last Venom movie had that like almost the same ending.
It was exactly
Someone
the same. It was like 5
opening
minutes.
their eyes, and then boom.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna talk about these in credit scenes, but it's like totally separate.
But it's not over.
So separate.
But let's do it. Okay, it happens pretty quickly. First in credit scene pops up. Purple lightning opening in the sky.
Purple cracks.
What's that look like? I mean, this is for the fans that have seen the movie.
Oh, yeah. It's straight out of No Way Home.
Yes. And there's a bright light and a man manifests into a cell. It is Michael Keaton, the Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes.
And he goes, hope the food's better than this joint.
Yeah. Oh, what's going on here?
And they're like, it's on the news immediately. Man mysteriously appears in cell.
Yeah.
No one knows who this is. We're gonna let him. Adrian Toomes. We're gonna let him go.
Yeah. It's like, he was already in a prison jumpsuit.
I mean, guys,
just showed up. We don't know who this guy is. Get out of here.
Like, we're not
going to do any investigations.
Where's your planet's like Avengers or like Tony Stark even just one person?
You check the Daily Bugle.
Oh, right.
Been cited for 90 days. Come on.
No one's here to take care of this.
Come on. You didn't put that together?
All right. That's it. Right in that end credit scene.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, to be continued. All right. There's a second one.
Yep.
Morbius is out and
He's
around.
Just driving in the
Lambo
hills.
Or something.
Having a nice time.
Yeah.
Even though he
normal
doesn't
dude.
need to drive anywhere because he can fly anywhere he wants.
Right. And in come these sounds.
Well, he just like stops. Like he knows where he's going.
Okay.
He goes to like a place, gets out, starts walking, and then you hear the like turbine sound and the flappity flap.
And it's the Vulture.
Here comes the Vulture.
In full outfit.
Full outfit.
From the movie.
Where did he get this stuff?
And how long has it been? And he says to Morbius, I've been interested in what you've been doing.
Yeah.
Maybe we should team up.
I think I'm here because of some Spider-Man guy.
Yes.
And I think we could team up. And like,
And Morbius says, I'm interested.
yeah, I'm interested.
Well, I was ready to kill myself a few hours ago.
Right.
And kind of be a good guy, but sure, I'll be on your bad guy team.
I mean, but I think they're not 100% sure.
Of like who's
Like if
who are you, who am
Vulture's
I?
a bad guy.
Right.
Because, he's the only one who knows who he is, really.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like so much stuff to.
And that was it, right?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
All right, that's Morbius.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the movie, and I mean, we did a good job pushing through the story and
Right.
bringing it home because that's we pulled out what the story was. But you watch that, man, that is a choppy ass movie.
Yeah, you could tell there was a lot of reshoots. And
I mean, there were dubs.
yeah, oh man, some dubs. So bad enough that my child noticed them.
It felt like they had found like a bunch of tape that had been cut up in a box, and they picked up Scotch tape and they put it together.
Well, like maybe they were moving the film reel in the back and tripped and dropped it
into the
and
shredder.
they're like, oh crap! Well, I just put it together. It doesn't matter.
All right. Before we get into some fan mail and hear about how they felt, I want to talk about how we felt and get into this movie in terms of ratings and reviews. All right, so let's do some overall thoughts. I'll kick us off. Jared Leto, I think he just kind of showed up and he did his thing. And I feel like this movie, I can't get past the fact that it does feel like they know that this movie's a mess. Because to say it's a bad movie isn't really fair. There's a lot of things I like about this movie. I did enjoy, I feel like this character could be really fun, and I really was enjoying the science and the darkness and the grittiness of just he's just kind of a killer, right? But man, the movie itself put together just did not feel coherent, and it did not flow very well. So that was hard to ignore, but I didn't mind it. It did feel a little bit old school, it felt like a little bit of a 90s kind of sci-fi thriller. A little
I got
bit.
that vibe too.
And which I didn't hate. I was
No.
like, it's kind of fun just to be yeah, this is fun. Because
Right.
cheesy movies are fun to me too.
Yeah,
so,
a very early 2000s,
yeah,
kind of action science.
absolutely.
flick.
So I was there for that, but man, I think that something happened in terms of, Carrie had a good point. This was a movie about a bat virus. It was supposed to come out in 2019. There were major delays. Over 2 years of delays for this movie. And there was a pandemic with a virus that had to do with a bat. There are just layers upon layers of why this couldn't have worked. And then you have all the success of this stuff recently with the MCU and Spider-Man No Way Home. You got these reshoots. They're forcing some stuff in, but that stuff that was forced in had nothing to do with the problems of the full-on story.
No.
So all that being said, I'd love to see more of this character. I think Morbius back in whatever way would be great. And they are trying to connect these MCU, and I want to dive into, we'll get into that whole discussion about what they're doing to connect, but I'd love to see the character again. This movie itself though was definitely a miss, and it wasn't just because it was an origin story. It was just a real shit show.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 2.1.
Fair.
Wow. That's real low for us.
Andy, what you got? Tell us about Morbius, what you thought, things we got in your notes, and I want to hear that rating.
Yeah, buddy. All right. I like to start with the rating. So I was shocked to see that mine was actually a little bit higher than yours. So 2.3 was what I went with. But I wish the movie was going into it, we were like, this movie's only 148 minutes. That's not 148. It was hour 48.
Hour and 48.
Hour 48. That's relatively short compared to what we see now. I think they could have done maybe 20, 30 more minutes with more character building to for me to actually care about the relationships of a lot of these characters. I didn't. I think that's really what it was lacking. I really loved Jared Leto is not an actor that I go see movies for because it's Jared Leto ever, but I really like what he did with this character. I can tell the work that he put in, and he on screen he looked great.
Yeah.
But everything else was pretty much a miss to me. I wish they just was more, like I said, more time that. Like what the hell Spider-Man are we going to see in this universe?
Right.
We'll get to that probably in a bit.
Oh yeah, let's get into.
But
we will.
Yeah, I like Milo was maybe one of the shining stars of it as well. Like their relationship was the thing that I think I latched onto the most through the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like I totally agree with what you said about like seeing him on screen with what they're going to do going forward. But this movie didn't really hit at all. It's very similar to the Venom movies, but just like worsely put together.
Yep.
With a lot more negatives bringing it down, like all the kind of jokey stuff that we just brought up as we were going through it. And there's probably way more that we don't even realize yet.
Yeah, for sure.
But in the future, like if this is on TBS or something, like when I'm watching TV, like I'll probably throw it on and watch it, but not
in the background.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other notes?
That's all I got.
Fair share, Andy. Scotty Scoop.
I think I came in with my expectations so low. Seeing the Rotten Tomatoes score, I think it was like an 18% or something like that. And I was like, man, I've got zero expectations. I went in and I had fun watching it, despite its obvious flaws. It's a character I had connections with before. I knew who they were, and I like Jared Leto, Matt Smith. He's a great actor. Doctor Who. Everybody else in the movie, it was decently acted, but poorly written.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
very
writing,
poorly written,
non-existent to me.
Yeah.
Like it was again, like I didn't even comment on the writing too much because it felt like a hodgepodge.
Yeah, I think they knew they were trying to capitalize and make something quickly.
Yeah,
to capitalize on this Marvel stuff and just get the money and run.
Yeah,
and but other than that, I thought it was okay. Despite its glaring issues. I gave it a 2.5.
Solid. I'll give it up for our scores, not for the movie-ness per se.
Yeah,
give it up for us.
Yes.
Well, because that's what we do on this podcast. Like we could talk about like what people thought about it all day, and like what we could just be here shitting on it. Yeah, we're gonna focus on the story because that's what we do here. So I'm glad to hear your guys' shares, reviews. I was glad to break down the story with you. What we're going to do now is we're going to hear from some fans, and then we're going to talk about MCU connections, some of the holes we saw. Let's revisit a little bit more about those in credit scenes. But first up, let's hear from you folks. First up, another voicemail from this guy that we heard from earlier. It's Mike M. calling in with his review and rating of Morbius.
Logan, Andy, you beauties. It's your boy Mike here.
And Scott.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on, Mike.
Michael, the murderer, Morbius. Oh, man. Overall, I think it was a great movie. I think it was just a great setup. Good setup for stuff to come. It's just a story about two friends, two boys that just hung out and, just went a little bit too hard in the paint. Got on that sauce and, one of them knew how to handle it and the other one just rode that tiger a little too hard. You got to put him down sometimes. But overall, I think it's about a 3.2 out of 4 on your guys' scale for me. Excited to see what comes next. And to quote the late great Harvey Dent, it's a story about you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. So I think that's what we're gearing up for in the next one, because the end of this one kind of pointing that way. Love you guys. Keep up the great work. Rock and roll. Later.
Mike M. 3.2.
Yeah.
Man, he came in hot with that.
That just goes to show you it's art. Art is subjective.
I love that's my whole point too. Like, screw the ratings. Go see what you think of this movie.
Exactly.
Let's see what some other people thought. We have Carrie C. You might know that lady, my partner in crime.
Whoo, boy.
Man, what a shit show. I like the first part, introing his character, but it really seemed like they had to cut a bunch of stuff and lost a lot along the way. And it did feel like a patched mess of movie that was barely salvaged. A total chop job, but the titles looked great. 1.0.
Ooh,
oh, man, I gotta use it. We never use this button. I don't even think I have it on the front screen anymore. Oh, here we go.
Oh my God. That's the lowest rating that's ever been given on the show.
I mean, it's finally happened.
Yeah.
Someone's actually given a 1.0 on the show. I love it. Love you, Carrie. Thank you for the review. We also have one. Scott, you want to share this one from
Yes,
Lyla?
my 12-year-old daughter Lyla. She likes the scary movies and the monsters and stuff. So I brought her along for this one. Man, did she love this movie?
She had a great time.
She had a great time. She subtracted 0.1 from the score because she noticed one part where an actor's voice was dubbed. His mouth didn't move.
Yeah,
but he spoke some lines. The doctor when he was dying.
Oh my God.
And then for that, it's minus 0.1.
Minus 0.1.
But other than that,
Perfect
she
movie.
was all in. She called a couple of things where she was like, that guy just stole that serum. That lady just became a vampire. When are they making another one?
oh man, she's like, okay,
She was like, well,
we got a new vampire
I'm
couple.
ready. I'm ready for this. Set me up for the next one. When's it come? And I was like, I can't answer that yet.
Lyla, I love it. 3.9, high score, and I'm glad you had a good time. I think you might get some more Morbius in the future.
Oh yeah.
So that'll be good for you. And we got some folks over at comicbook.com, Brandon Davis, Phase Zero, comicbook.com. He just said Morbius just isn't very good. Parts of it, some creative action or horror-ish sequences are actually cool, but the story feels flat, simple, messy, dated. You can follow Brandon Davis, BD, Brandon Davis on Twitter. And then we got a letter in the Mostly Superheroes squad from Stephanie H. You know this lady?
That is a banger. Yeah, she's great.
She's
like her.
pretty solid, right?
Probably my favorite
Man.
of all of our fans.
I think that is the right answer, sir. Stephanie H says, coming in with a letter here, a full review. I love it. I love the rating first. You can tell you guys are married. 2.9 out of 4. Went in not knowing anything at all about this character or storyline. Absolutely loved the background story of the character. Super intelligent, world-renowned physician with a spot of mad scientist. She says, I am a science nerd, so maybe that's why. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I have a soft spot for Jared Leto and want to see him succeed. I think his look and demeanor were spot on for the character, but something fell short, and I can't put my finger on exactly what it was. I love the actor that plays Morbius, his BFF Milo. He's also in The Crown. I thought he played his role impeccably. He's also excellent in The Crown. 10 out of 10, good on him. Stephanie says, a big miss for me were the attempts at the puns, comedic relief that we're used to seeing in the Marvel movies. They did not work here. Majority of these attempts were awkward and cringe. Jared Leto is not that kind of actor, and because of that, I feel they shouldn't have tried to force it. That having been said, I was entertained throughout and got to enjoy a fun night out with my husband, the Giggler. I don't think this was a terrible movie, and I don't know what it deserves. I don't know that it deserves the harsh critics absolutely destroying it in the reviews, but it just wasn't as spectacular as what we are used to seeing in movies that have the Marvel name attached to them. Stephanie, thanks for taking the time to write that awesome review.
Enjoyed it. She enjoyed it. It sounds like.
Oh yeah.
I mean, 2.9.
2.9. That's a good score. That's
just
a B.
That's a B.
Yeah.
She hasn't given very many ratings on the show, so she can't do as much of the comparison game as us, probably.
I don't think so, Andy. What I love about the 4.0 scale is people seem to lean toward the truth. That's how she felt. She had a good time.
I think you're right.
Did you guys get into a fight about this after the movie?
No. We were on the same page, more or less.
I wanna say, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I have a soft spot for Jared Leto.
Yeah, what the heck?
I wonder why.
Yeah, we saw whenever he got
Come on.
buff.
Yeah. When he took his shirt open, that first scene after he got cured, we know why the ladies like Jared Leto.
I also say that whenever she's like, I kind of have a soft spot for Jared Leto and I want him to succeed. I'm like, yeah, I feel like that's like Jared Leto's whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, can he do it?
Right.
Like, because Carrie had a good point. Wasn't he like a lead singer in a band first?
30 Seconds to Mars.
30 Seconds to Mars. And now
Oh,
he's,
yeah.
He was in Fight Club. Jared
He
Leto's.
was?
Yeah. It's the guy that they messed his face up. They really
God.
punched into his face and he was all scarred. Yeah, it was Jared Leto.
I did not realize he was in that.
He's been around for a long time.
Thank you, Stephanie, other fans. And then a very special shout out and review here from Dan P, one of our Patreon patrons out there. He says, hey, Mostly Superheroes crew, your self-proclaimed biggest fan here, DP. Morbius is clearly not a well-received movie yet, Sony still tries to tie their movies into the Disney Marvel universe. I believe this is a hindrance to the MCU. I'm curious how you guys think Marvel should handle running the Sony-produced and Disney-produced Marvel movies, given the clear difference in quality and reception by audiences. P.S. I love the new studio look. Keep making great content. Dan.
Yes.
Hey, Dan, I make you a promise. You keep giving us money, we'll just, no matter what happens with this show, I'll always make you something.
Yes.
Even if it's just me recording my personal thoughts, I'll send them to you. I don't care. Man, let's get into it. This is a great segue. Thank you to Dan and all of our patrons there. You just saw this guy on your trip. All weekend.
4 straight days of Dan.
Did you guys have a good time?
Oh, yeah. So fun. So much fun.
In Milwaukee for a bachelor party. Very nice. Dan, appreciate you. And yeah, let's get into this. This is a great segue. Let's talk about the MCU Sony movies. Let's get back to those end-credit scenes. All right, I read today, right? We got the Spider-Man No Way Home connections, Spider-Man Homecoming connections, Vulture and his full thing. I read that Kevin Feige maybe had nothing to do with those.
Absolutely nothing. And I really think this was a case that they brought this movie to Kevin Feige and they was like, here's what we made. And he was like, we don't want to have anything to do with this.
Like, absolutely not.
Nothing. And like, he said, how you guys think Marvel should handle running the Sony produced. That's just it. They're not.
Yeah.
This is Sony on their own. And I think it's obvious they're doing what Sony have always done.
Yes.
Capitalizing off an IP that is not their own and trying to make the bank.
Yep. Like this, there's so much momentum going with superhero content in general.
Yeah.
Specifically, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We own Spider-Man, arguably one of the most famous Marvel characters of all time, plus all of these bad guys that people know from him. We're here to not miss the train.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure
jump
we're on
the
this
money
train. And
we're going to, while this isn't going to make $1 billion,
yeah,
it'll make 200 million.
Yeah.
By the time it's all said and done, it's almost at 100 million.
Yeah.
It's been out for less than a week.
And let's talk about this from like a fan perspective of just like, I start playing like what actually happened, like storytelling wise. All right. So in Spider-Man No Way Home, the whole thing, spoiler alert for that movie, this is the big ending, but like all of the Spider-Man villains are coming to the MCU Earth.
Because they know who Peter Parker is.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that makes sense. And they're like, all right, everybody's going to forget who Peter Parker is, so we'll turn this off. And then nobody can come here now. Okay. So in this end credit scene for Morbius, Michael Keaton appears in
a different universe.
The Sony Marvel universe,
right.
The Venomverse, essentially.
Yeah, it's fair.
It's like the Venomverse.
Yeah. I think that's
so far because that's all we have so far in this universe.
Yeah. Exactly. Other than like Into the Spider-Verse, which is like a cartoon.
Right.
But
nothing to do with this.
Not yet.
Not yet.
And he's a Spider-Man villain that knows Peter Parker.
Yes.
But he comes to the Sonyverse.
For some...
Doesn't make any sense. I don't think
some reason.
It doesn't add up.
There's no explanation for it right now unless
he got sucked in with Venom.
So I'm thinking...
Because Venom came back.
Venom went back.
But Venom's supposed to
come
back.
But he's
because he was... Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. Like this had to be, in my opinion, like something that they did with the reshoots, but also where did he get his Vulture suit from? He clearly didn't transfer over with that. Did it just show up in...
He just knew how to make it again, I guess.
That's the thing. He didn't make it in the first place. There was someone else that made that suit in the show for him, or in the movie in Homecoming.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The Tinkerer, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he had like help, and he had
help,
and he had the Shatari tech.
Yeah, all that stuff that he was collecting.
He wouldn't have Shatari tech there.
No, we
right,
saw
exactly.
Not per that first.
That's part of the issue here. Of it doesn't add up.
Yeah. And it also makes me think more about that Venom scene and Tom Hardy being in Spider-Man No Way Home and credit scene. Like, you just got to wonder, like, I mean, they got to be in the same meetings at some point.
Right.
Like, somebody had to be like, yeah, Tom Hardy came back, so okay.
Well, I think what they did was they made some sort of deal, Marvel and Sony, and they were like, hey, there's a couple of elements of characters that you have that we want. And, we want Tom Holland.
Yeah.
You're Peter Parker.
Yeah.
We want a Venom, not your Venom,
Yeah.
a Venom.
Yeah, right.
We need the symbiote to do some stuff.
We want the IP.
And, I think Sony had a 3-picture deal with Michael Keaton. And that's Sony's deal.
Right.
That's not Marvel's deal. It's Sony's deal.
Exactly.
So, they're kind of sharing and they're kind of not. And I think Kevin Feige saw the movie and he was like, you guys just keep doing your own thing.
Yeah, man.
And Sony is just well known for falling on their face. And the only thing that has been out of the ordinary is Into the Spider-Verse.
Right. Which amazing.
Oscar winning.
Deserved.
Into the Spider-Verse, yeah.
All right, let's think about this. Things that were in the trailer that weren't in the movie.
A lot.
The Spider-Man poster that said murderer.
Just flat out
Spider-Man gone.
Just like not the him walking in the prison suit, like hiding, murderer on Toby's Spider-Man. Just gone.
Right. The Tombs talking.
Oh, saying like I like what you're up to. Hey,
yeah.
Doc. Hey, Doc.
Hey,
or something
Doc.
like that.
Like he knew who he was.
Absolutely.
Which makes you believe there's an entire different movie here.
Oh, I was telling Carrie, I was like, I really hope to get like the cut.
Yes.
Who's the director?
Espinosa cut.
Yeah.
Like Daniel,
we're calling for
like
it.
Daniel, I need to know what actually happened, and
where is the first cut of this movie?
You talked about the dub your daughter caught with the doctor, and then there's definitely another one with Tyrese where he's like, "Oh, I remember your blood. It really helped me out when and it's like broke my arm,
lost my arm, yeah, broke my arm.
But I was like, I
whatever.
bet that was like when I had my blood disease,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because they didn't really talk about why he made all that blood either.
Well, I mean, I think it's just a useful thing to have synthetic blood.
Yeah, that's all.
It might not have been for like a specific thing. It's just.
But why? Like, what did he say?
Right. What would is
like? It's where he had to say my busted arm.
Right. And I don't know that if we would look at this character's name that Tyrese played.
Oh, here.
Simon, whatever.
Stroud.
Simon Stroud.
This could be someone.
Yeah.
From the comics that had some sort of thing. Maybe that's how he made it up the stairs so fast. Maybe he's half bionic. Who knows?
That'd be cool.
This is, he has a high-tech arm.
There you go.
Are you serious?
So he used his arm to climb the stairs really fast.
And like that was probably a part that like happened a little bit more in the movie.
And they cut it out of the movie.
Oh, wait. It was in the trailers, but not in the movie.
I
think.
I guess it was definitely a letdown.
There's just so many cuts.
We're having so much fun with all this MCU stuff, and then to have Spider-Man, and then like what they did with Venom, I think this was a big letdown.
Yeah,
it just shows like that there's just lack of plan.
There's just Sony is flying by the seat of their pants.
Yeah,
just trying to grab as much cash as they can, and it's working.
Yep.
But sooner or later,
you're right. Nothing's changed. They've always done this.
Sooner or later, just like they did with the Amazing Spider-Man. Shoehorning in too many villains in Spider-Man 2, they're gonna exhaust the patience of the fans.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that you have the IP. You got to make good movies.
You've got to make good movies.
Yeah, like we have. How many times have we said it?
You're gonna get your $100 million, $200 million paydays, but sooner or later the fans are gonna walk away, just like they did with Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I don't know the real world implications for this, so like if it's a bad idea, don't do it. But like, should Disney can they just buy Sony?
It's been talked about.
Like surely, what's his name, Bob Chapek?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's like, hey, he's like, let me go talk to him.
They put a check on the table
Yeah.
for Spider-Man.
Right. This all came up during the big thing, 4 years ago,
right,
when Tom Holland's not coming back, which PR stunt.
Yeah, for sure.
But
so everybody would get their payday.
But like there was that, and then like you see the cohesiveness on the movie, like No Way Home. But like you said, like Feige driving and Marvel Entertainment driving on the writing probably, and it really is just kind of Sony being like this is
a machine.
And they get the merchandise deal, they get the merch deal, they get the whatever rights, but it's like write whatever movie you want. Okay, now we'll write a movie. In Venom Let There Be Carnage, it really wasn't that good.
No, it was garbage. I didn't like the first Venom movie. I liked Morbius better than both Venom movies.
Yeah, I guess they both aren't very good.
No. Like, this is in the same family.
But I'd love to see a Spider-Man fight that Venom. I think the Venom
Of
looks
course.
great.
That's what
Yeah.
I mean. But what Spider-Man are we going to see? That's the question. Like, I don't.
But at this point, though, you could do anything now.
They
Like,
right.
publicly said that they're soon going to announce who the Spider-Man is.
yeah.
So is it like a few years ago when all this fiasco was happening with Tom Holland coming back or not? I thought that eventually that he'd be in the Sony movies. It'd be like they'd just be borrowing him, or he'd be like in both. But I think for sure now, and maybe this is one of the reasons. I'm just guessing that No Way Home had all this success. They like earlier this year, and they're just like, wait, we should maybe change up our strategy here. And maybe that's why they did the reshoots and have this fumbled whatever the hell they're trying to do with the credit scenes. And maybe that like Andrew Garfield could be Spider-Man in this.
I think Andrew Garfield's got another couple of Spider-Man movies in him.
But Toby?
Toby is just...
What?
I think he's too old.
He's too
You guys
old.
are crazy.
I don't think Toby is as in love with the character of Spider-Man as we are in love with Toby's version of Spider-Man.
I mean, he was swinging around pretty easily.
But
I think this was his last hurrah.
Andrew Garfield was
Sony
was cut short, so they might
fairly
still
young.
owe him. Feel that they still owe him in some capacity. Who knows?
I mean, all this is because of them striking that first deal and getting Spider-Man into Captain America's Civil War.
Yeah,
that's crazy. And now we're talking about all these Spider-Mans coming back.
And I think you give Sony another couple of these bombs. Like, let's hope that they're not all bombs and they come out with Kraven and it's good.
Yeah,
I don't have high hopes for that.
Yeah,
but if that gets as badly reviewed, and then they've got the Spider-Woman movie.
What? I mean, as long as they make a profit, they might not even care.
But they're gonna. I think eventually the quality is gonna dip even further than this.
Yeah, right.
Even further than this.
They still made money on this,
just like Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2.
That's true.
The chart went down, and that's when they were like, you know what, Marvel's got a good thing going. Let's jump on their boat. Let them make some Spider-Man stuff and see what happens. And it worked.
Yeah, make a Morbius series on Disney Plus.
Now they're jumping on and it's going up, up, up. And
Yeah.
sooner or later it's going to dip and they're going to jump back in bed with Marvel. Either they're going to let Marvel take the reins and write their stuff and just cash the checks, or they're just going to sell it all back to Marvel for $5 billion.
Yeah, billions.
Because they know it's Spider-Man and all his characters, and there's a payday there.
Yeah.
So you got to give us billions.
Yeah, it'll be, that's a big investment.
For just Spider-Man and his characters. Like, I'm not talking about buying Sony.
No, not Sony. Just the Spider-Man and 10 characters. Yeah.
I think they're not shy about that they're going to the Sinister Six movie coming up.
Oh, it's obvious.
Oh, yeah, that's what
Jared
they're doing.
Leto, even in an interview, said he's like, you might see some at the end of the movie, someone coming by with sinister intent, and I was like,
no.
Oh, come on.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it seems like a PR team is giving him not great ideas.
Right.
That's so on the nose.
Yes.
And me and Carrie talked about this too, is listen, I don't think it's any secret to the people at Sony that this movie is a disaster.
No.
Including Jared Leto. And he's on his press tour. He was on the press tour to get this movie out. And I'm sure it was I've heard a lot of his interviews and they were just yeah, I was really excited to play a Jekyll and Hyde type character. And I'm like,
well,
talk about Morbius. These are the talking points,
You heard the same exact thing from Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
When they made the first Venom and the second Venom, I remember after the first Venom, he was kind of phoning in the press tour and, saying, he literally said the best stuff of this movie was left on the cutting room floor.
Oh my God. I hate that. Why? What happens? What happens?
For real.
They got to get it in the room where it's in post and they're all right, we're going to fix this.
Yeah. We got to get this down to an hour 40. But you don't.
So then I think about Spider-Man No Way Home and the outlines of the people of the Spider-Man villains that were in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Does that have anything to do with what we're seeing here in Morbius?
It might be, for sure.
Or not. Or not at all.
Right.
I'm how much, again, Michael Keaton was in those movies.
Yeah.
He's here he is in the Vulture outfit. This is a big move. If they don't have the sign off from Feige and the team, they're just we'll just do it because we have the rights.
We've got the picture deal with him. We've got the rights to the Vulture.
You don't think?
Oh, yeah.
Oh
we don't care what Marvel says. This is our character. This is our contract. We'll make whatever we want.
They're just going to make an inferior Sinister Six. That's going to be I don't know.
Like,
right, and
I
people
mean,
are going to
part
hate
of
it.
me, part of me wants
Vulture,
it. Part of me wants it
Morbius.
though. It'll be like clunky and cheesy.
Yes.
Rhino. We'll have the Scorpion, the guy that was in the jail.
Mysterio.
Yeah, right.
Mysterio could be in it, I guess.
Uh,
Well, they've already had the Black Cat reference in the newspaper that people think that Sydney Sweeney might be
Oh
playing
yeah,
that. And
all those rumors.
But yeah, that I don't know. I don't know what to think about that Madam Web movie. That's
yeah, Madam Web.
Yeah,
That's
well-
kind of they're really pulling out some bizarre.
But like, I don't
Characters.
care about bizarre characters because I've seen, Ant-Man, and like you can
Right.
do anything.
Yeah.
And you can make it all great. You know?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Like, give James Gunn this Morbius movie and like see what happens.
Yeah. Well, hey, there's the move.
I mean,
You
you
know,
need those
The Sony Spider-Verse. James Gunn is your guy.
you need those masters. You need
Mhm.
you need Nolan in there. He could probably do something with this. Like, there was a lot here that I was like, man, I like this character.
Right.
I love that he's just like on the run, kind of like killing a little bit.
Yeah, he had an edge.
He had an edge to him.
Right.
All right, guys. Anything else on Morbius you want to get off your chest?
I just want them to make the end credit scene make sense somehow. But
Well,
I
that's
just
the
don't-
problem.
I don't
There
know,
is
it's
no
not-
Kevin Feige
Yeah,
at Sony weaving the web.
I
of
wish I could
getting
just
everything to tie together.
have 30 seconds of Kevin Feige's time right now and just say discreetly, what is your thoughts on what just happened in that credit scene?
I think
Just-
we'll see more and more coming out about this over the weeks. It'll be like, I've already seen some people speaking out about, like, people that worked on it and stuff, but nothing like concrete or anything hard. That was worth sharing.
Yeah. And we'll see when Craven comes out if they try to rectify this
Yeah,
or make it make sense.
like keep it going.
Keep it going.
Like, do we see Morbius again?
Right. Do we see
Or-
Morbius or is Vulture the one who pulls this team together
To get back?
shows up in Craven
Yeah,
and hey, I already got this vampire dude.
yeah, and then you get some movies in here, and maybe and then I don't know, you could make it a story about him rounding up these folks, getting back to the MCU. And,
Right.
like, that's Spider-Man
Like
4.
Spider-Man's the one who got us into this mess.
Yeah,
The Sinister Six of us are going to go take the fight to Spider-Man and make him send me back.
only if Marvel Studios takes over the writing.
Yeah. Well, Sony, call us. We'll fix it.
We'll do it.
We'll fix it.
We could write it.
Yeah.
With your knowledge, our storytelling abilities, we could do it.
We'll get it together.
We'll give you a 4.0 out of
Yeah.
4.0.
Better than the scores we saw in here today. Lowest scores we've ever had on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had a 1. We had a 3.9.
I mean, this is what I love about the show. This is what I love about the show.
Heck
Like,
yeah.
don't go into movies thinking that Rotten Tomatoes score says anything
Don't
about
listen
you.
to the reviews.
You
If
can't.
you're interested, see it and make the judgment for yourself.
And then determine your judgment and your rating and call in to the show.
yes, call the
Yes.
show and tell us why you thought what you thought.
And then you'll be part of the magic.
Yes,
That's it.
we'll give you credits when we write the movies.
I mean, if that wasn't a plug for reach out to the show, I don't know what was. Perfect segue. That's Morbius 2022. We'll call it a flop on the show, but we'll have talk more about this character as the MCU progresses and Sony keeps trying. We'll keep trying to talk about them.